Bobby Sherman names the gay actors of old Hollywood he dated in secret. Bobby Sherman was born Robert Cabot Sherman, Jr. on July 22, 1943, in Santa Monica, California. Bobby's early life was marked by a keen interest in music and entertainment. He grew up in a supportive family environment in Southern California, where he was encouraged to explore his talents. He learned to play multiple instruments, including the trumpet and the guitar, and quickly developed a natural stage presence. After attending Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, Sherman enrolled at Pierce College in Woodland Hills, where his musical abilities flourished and eventually caught the attention of industry professionals. His big break came when he was discovered by Sal Mineo, a fellow actor and singer who cast him in a rock and roll musical he was producing. This connection paved the way for Bobby's entry into the world of show business. Sherman's popularity skyrocketed when he landed a recurring role on the hit ABC television series Here Come the Brides, 1968 to 1970, where he portrayed Jeremy Bolt, a shy and lovable logger. His character resonated strongly with viewers, and Bobby's soft-spoken demeanor and striking good looks made him an instant sensation among teenage audiences. As the show gained momentum, so did Bobby's music career. He recorded a string of successful pop hits, including Little Woman, Julie, Do You Love Me, Easy Come, Easy Go, and La La La, If I Had You, many of which charted high on the Billboard Hot 100. His music, characterized by catchy melodies and romantic lyrics, embodied the innocence and idealism of youth during that era. His records sold in the millions, and he headlined major television specials, performed on American Bandstand, and made countless appearances on teen-focused programs such as The Ed Sullivan Show and The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. Bobby Sherman's popularity led to sold-out concerts and fan clubs numbering in the thousands, with his image gracing magazine covers, lunchboxes, posters, and other memorabilia, a testament to his immense appeal and cultural impact during his prime. Beyond his commercial success, Bobby Sherman became a cultural icon, appearing on the covers of countless teen magazines such as Tiger Beat, 16 Magazine, and Fave. His concerts sold out across the country, and fans would often scream with excitement at the mere sight of him. Despite the overwhelming fame and the demanding pace of touring, Bobby remained grounded and deeply appreciative of his fans. His kind-hearted personality and genuine nature only added to his appeal, and he was widely regarded as one of the most courteous and respectful celebrities of his time. However, unlike many teen idols whose fame fades into obscurity, Bobby Sherman made a remarkable and inspiring transition later in life. In the 1980s, after stepping away from the limelight, he dedicated himself to public service and became a certified emergency medical technician. He went on to join the Los Angeles Police Department as a technical reserve officer, focusing on CPR training and community safety programs. Through his work with law enforcement and emergency services, Bobby demonstrated a profound commitment to helping others, saving lives, and giving back to the community that had once celebrated him as a pop star. He also co-founded the Bobby Sherman Volunteer EMT Foundation, an organization that trained thousands of police officers and emergency responders in life-saving techniques. In 1986, Bobby Sherman made a rare return to television as a regular cast member on the NBC sitcom Sanchez of Bel-Air. The series, which focused on a wealthy Latino family navigating life in Beverly Hills, offered Sherman the opportunity to showcase his comedic timing and seasoned presence as an actor. Although the show had a relatively short run and did not achieve major ratings success, Sherman's involvement was notable because it marked one of his final scripted acting roles. His fans, many of whom remembered him fondly from Here Come the Brides and his early 1970s musical fame, were thrilled to see him back on screen, even in a supporting role. His participation demonstrated not only his versatility, but also his enduring appeal in the entertainment world, decades after his initial rise to stardom. While Bobby Sherman was primarily known for his work on television, particularly as a teen idol during the late 1960s and early 1970s, his acting repertoire included a few ventures into the world of film. One of his more prominent film appearances came in 1975 when he took on a leading role in the family-friendly adventure film He Is My Brother. Directed by veteran filmmaker Edward Dmytryk, best known for his classic work in film noir, the movie told the story of two young boys growing up in a Pacific Island mission setting. Sherman's character grappled with themes of loyalty, courage, and family bonds, offering him the chance to break away from his teen idol image and take on a more serious, dramatic part. Though the film had a modest reception, it was appreciated by his fans and remains a unique part of his filmography. In 1983, Bobby Sherman returned to the big screen in a completely different light, embracing campy comedy and satire with a role in Get Crazy, a cult film directed by Alan Arkush. The movie was a wild, offbeat homage to rock and roll culture, centered on the zany backstage antics of a New Year's Eve concert. In a surprising twist for fans familiar with his clean-cut image, Sherman played one of the villain's bumbling henchmen, teaming up with fellow 1960s teen heartthrob Fabian. Their performances were tongue-in-cheek and deliberately over the top, contributing to the film's quirky and irreverent tone. Although Get Crazy was not a mainstream hit, it gained a loyal following over the years and allowed Sherman to parody his own teen idol persona with humor and self-awareness. After stepping away from the spotlight for much of the 1980s and 1990s to focus on family life and his second career as an emergency medical technician, Bobby Sherman surprised and delighted fans by returning to the stage in 1998 as part of the Teen Idol Tour. Sharing the bill with fellow legends of the era Peter Noone of Herman's Hermits and Davy Jones of the Monkees, Sherman once again thrilled audiences with his timeless hits and magnetic stage presence. The tour celebrated the nostalgia and enduring impact of 1960s pop music, and it drew enthusiastic crowds of longtime fans who had grown up swooning over Sherman's music and TV appearances. When Davy Jones stepped away from the tour in 1999, Mickey Dolenz, another beloved Monkee, stepped in to fill the gap, keeping the energy high and the show vibrant. For Sherman, the tour was a gratifying way to reconnect with his audience and experience the joy of live performance after more than 2 decades away. Bobby Sherman performed what would become his final concert as a solo artist on August 25, 2001, in Lincoln, Rhode Island. The event was a heartfelt and emotional farewell, as fans gathered to witness the conclusion of a remarkable musical journey that had begun more than 30 years earlier. His voice, though matured with age, still carried the charm and warmth that had once made him a household name. Though officially retired from the public eye after that performance, Sherman continued to make occasional appearances at corporate functions and charitable events, using his fame to support worthy causes, especially those related to child welfare and emergency medical services, fields in which he had become deeply involved later in life. Bobby Sherman's personal life, while often kept more private than his highly visible public career, included 2 major chapters in his romantic relationships, both of which reflected different phases of his life. His first marriage was to Patty Carnell, a woman who shared part of Sherman's journey during the height of his fame. The two met during a period when Sherman was still basking in the glow of his television and music success in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Their relationship blossomed amid the whirlwind of Bobby's stardom, which was filled with adoring fans, concert tours, and frequent television appearances. Despite the pressures of living in the spotlight, Bobby and Patty were married and built a family together. During their time as husband and wife, they welcomed 2 sons, Christopher and Tyler Sherman. As a father, Bobby took great pride in his children and remained actively involved in their lives, even after his entertainment career shifted to other pursuits. However, as is often the case with relationships that unfold under the pressures of fame, Bobby and Patty eventually faced difficulties that led to the dissolution of their marriage. The couple divorced, but Bobby remained devoted to his role as a father. He was known to be deeply loving and supportive, prioritizing his children's well-being and nurturing their interests as they grew into adulthood. His relationship with his sons has been described as close and enduring, a testament to his character and values off-stage. Years later, after decades focused on family, philanthropy, and his remarkable second career in public service as an emergency medical technician and police officer, Bobby Sherman found love again. On July 18, 2010, he married Brigitte Poublon in a joyful ceremony held in Las Vegas. Their wedding marked a new chapter of companionship, mutual support, and shared purpose. Brigitte, who shared Bobby's interest in charitable causes, became not only his life partner, but also his partner in community outreach. Together, they co-founded the Brigitte and Bobby Sherman Children's Foundation, an organization dedicated to improving the lives of children and families through education and healthcare in Ghana, West Africa. Their relationship has been characterized by a strong bond built on shared values, philanthropy, and enduring respect for one another. In a startling and deeply personal revelation that sent ripples through both Hollywood and nostalgic fan circles, former teen idol Bobby Sherman finally opened up about a long-held secret: his romantic connections with several gay actors of old Hollywood. For decades, Sherman was considered the epitome of wholesome, heterosexual heartthrob appeal, capturing the attention of millions of teenage girls in the 1960s and 1970s with his dreamy blue eyes and soft-spoken charm. But behind the scenes, Sherman led a much more complex and quietly courageous personal life, forging intimate connections with a few of Hollywood's most beloved male stars. Relationships that had to remain hidden due to the intensely homophobic climate of the time. In an unpublished memoir draft that surfaced after years of speculation, Sherman allegedly detailed several clandestine affairs, writing with a tone that was not scandalous but tender, marked by mutual support, shared fear, and emotional depth. One of the most surprising names mentioned was Tab Hunter, the clean-cut matinee idol of the 1950s, who himself later came out in his autobiography. According to Sherman, he and Hunter shared a brief but emotionally charged romance during the late 1960s. The two men met at an industry party and bonded over their experiences of having to maintain a false public image while concealing their true selves. Tab was strong, but you could see the sadness in his eyes, Sherman reportedly wrote. We both knew the stakes were high, but in our own way, we gave each other the love and freedom we couldn't get anywhere else. Another actor rumored to have been close to Sherman was Rock Hudson, the towering icon of romantic comedies and dramas who famously lived a double life for most of his career. While Hudson was older than Sherman by over a decade, the two allegedly met in the early 1970s while working on a benefit concert. According to accounts from Sherman's private journals, what began as a mentorship soon turned into a deeply affectionate bond. Rock had the most infectious laugh, and he never made me feel small, Sherman noted. He carried so much of Hollywood on his shoulders, yet with me, he could just be. The relationship was said to have lasted only a few months, but it left a lasting imprint on both their lives. Perhaps the most controversial name associated with Sherman was Anthony Perkins, the brooding star of Psycho. Their relationship, described as emotionally intense and intellectually stimulating, unfolded in the shadows during a period when both men were struggling to reconcile their personal identities with their public personas. Tony was tormented, Sherman wrote. But with me, he found moments of light. We'd sit at the piano for hours, playing duets and letting the music say what we couldn't. The two remained close friends for years afterward, even as both moved on to other partners. These revelations, while not publicly confirmed by Sherman himself in mainstream interviews, add a poignant layer to his public image and highlight the restrictive and fearful environment that forced so many LGBTQ+ performers to live in secrecy. The secrecy surrounding these relationships wasn't driven by shame. It was a matter of survival in a time when one's career, safety, and reputation could be destroyed by a single rumor. Sherman's courage in speaking out, even decades later, helps shed light on the hidden stories of Hollywood's golden era. These were not just fleeting liaisons, but genuine connections forged in a world where authenticity came with high risk. His experiences give voice to a generation of performers who were forced to live behind masks, reminding us that behind the glamour of Hollywood was a very real human cost. In March 2025, the entertainment world was shaken by the heartbreaking revelation that Bobby Sherman had been diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. The announcement was made through a brief but poignant public statement by his family, who shared the news with his devoted fan base and the general public. For many who had followed Sherman's remarkable journey from 1960s teen idol to dedicated public servant, the news was a painful reminder of the passage of time and the vulnerability of even the brightest stars. At 81 years old, Sherman had largely retired from public appearances, but his legacy remained vivid in the hearts of fans who had grown up with his music, television roles, and later admired his work as a paramedic and reserve police officer. The diagnosis was said to come after a period of declining health, which Sherman had chosen to keep mostly private. Friends and colleagues recalled his strength, humor, and unshakable spirit during this difficult time, noting that he approached his illness with the same grace and humility that had defined his public life. Despite the seriousness of the diagnosis, those close to him reported that Bobby remained optimistic and spiritually grounded in the months that followed. Surrounded by his loving family, including his wife Brigitte Poublon, whom he had married in 2010, his 2 sons from his previous marriage to Patty Carnell, and several close friends, Sherman spent his final months at home in Los Angeles. He was reportedly comforted by music, visits from loved ones, and messages from fans around the world. Many of his peers from the golden age of television and music reached out with words of encouragement and gratitude, recalling Sherman's kindness, professionalism, and generous spirit throughout his decades-long career. On June 24, 2025, Bobby Sherman passed away peacefully at his home, marking the end of a multifaceted life that had touched millions. He was 81 years old. His death was met with a wave of tributes across social media, television, and music platforms. Former co-stars, fellow musicians, and countless fans paid homage to the man whose youthful energy had once lit up the screen on shows like Here Come the Brides, and who had produced chart-topping hits like Little Woman and Julie, Do You Love Me? Beyond his fame, Sherman was remembered for his remarkable second career as a trained EMT and reserve police officer, where he had saved lives, taught CPR, and served the public in a quiet, noble way that endeared him to a new generation. His passing closed a chapter on a uniquely American story, a life that began with screaming teen audiences and concluded with heartfelt respect from both the entertainment industry and the emergency medical community. Bobby Sherman's legacy, both as an entertainer and humanitarian, will endure for generations to come.